A few months ago, I put out a video about the charmingly goofy music found in various Nintendo games, trying to find out what it is that gives these soundtracks such a distinct character. It really resonated with a lot of people, with some even asking for a more in-depth video about a specific game or series. And I agreed. I thought it would be a cool idea to take a look at the musical identity of a specific game or series, why the music works, and how it serves the game that it's in. But I didn't want to force it if I didn't have anything to talk about. And then I started wanting to play Animal Crossing again, and it hit me like a smugly swung bug net. The Animal Crossing series is stuffed to the gills with all kinds of music that fits into a very specific musical identity. But what is that identity in the first place, and what have the composers who have worked on these games done not just to create it, but to keep it consistent for a series that's been running for over 20 years at this point? And why does it resonate so deeply as a result of their work? I wanted to try and figure out what makes Animal Crossing music sound like, well, Animal Crossing. But first I needed a refresher. See, it's been a little while since I've played a lot of these older games, so I took to YouTube and listened to the entire soundtracks to all 5 mainline Animal Crossing games, and I regret nothing. Here's what I learned. Before I really get into it, here's a quick catch-up in case you don't even know what Animal Crossing is. Animal Crossing is a life simulator game by Nintendo where you play as a human villager who's moved into a town inhabited by talking animals. It's a completely open-ended game where you go about your day catching fish, decorating your house, taking out mortgages, whatever your little heart desires, really. Now, there's objectives, kinda, like filling out the museum or paying off your house, but there's no real way to lose either. There's no time limit or game over, and you can't really die or get hurt, or... There are bees, actually, now that I think about it. You can get stung by bees, which hurts almost as much as being called ugly by your neighbor because you got stung by bees. Okay, so aside from the whole bee thing, Animal Crossing goes out of its way to create a pretty relaxed atmosphere, from its visuals to its gameplay to the writing, when you ignore how savage the villagers can be in the first game. But I think a big piece of the puzzle is the music of Animal Crossing, which embodies what I call the Animal Crossing feel, which is made up of a few different ingredients. A really important ingredient to any game, or really any media in general, is the sound palette, which is the instruments and genres that are on the table to work with. And if it's done well, it can really enhance the feel of a game. For example, the Doom games are violent, dark, and aggressive first-person shooters that see you taking on hordes of demons with a shotgun. Thanks to composer Mick Gordon, the sound palettes of the 2 newest Doom games are filled with 8-string electric guitars, pounding drums, and screeching synthesizers, playing the most disgustingly heavy metal you've ever heard. It's amazing, and it's loud, and it's aggressive, and it's in your face, just like Doom. Okay, back to Animal Crossing. The sound palette of Animal Crossing reflects the game's relaxed mood with gentle, easygoing, and warm instruments. It's filled to the brim with acoustic guitars, pianos, upright basses, and accordions, with the rhythm section held down by either a sampled drum set or a drum machine. This group of instruments has stayed pretty consistent through the series' history, with a few additions like steel drums and trumpets depending on the game, and more recently they've even transitioned away from sampled instruments and towards having a live band perform the soundtrack instead. Instrument choice goes a long way in helping the player to feel a certain emotion or create a certain vibe, but a huge part of the sound palette is also in the writing style. A lot of the songs in Animal Crossing are pretty moderately paced. I mean, you're spending your time walking around catching fish and watering flowers and stuff, so it's pretty relaxed. The closest thing to any real action or excitement in Animal Crossing is, being chased by bees, I guess? And despite the general lack of action when there's, not bees involved, the music is still pretty fun and upbeat when that's the vibe that it's trying to present. A lot of these songs are influenced by genres like funk, jazz, bossa nova, folk rock, and even a little bit of electronic music here and there. Spicy, extended chord voicings and tons of call and response action between instruments makes things really fun and catchy to listen to while you're running around. And it adds a lot to the charm of Animal Crossing's music. The last piece of Animal Crossing's musical identity is how it uses motifs and themes. See, the series has grown a lot from its roots as a niche Japan-only N64 game in the early 2000s to the best-selling juggernaut that it is today. A lot of the themes of different shops and characters and stuff have become series staples over time. The theme of the Able Sisters, your town's resident tailors, has gone completely unchanged since the GameCube days, and the museum has kept its music since Wild World on the DS. This does a lot to create a level of familiarity and coziness. It's fun to know that even if you pick up a new game, there's a lot that has stayed the same. It's like catching up with an old friend after a long time and seeing what has changed and what hasn't. But what about the main theme of Animal Crossing? Well, aside from Wild World and City Folk sharing a main title screen song, each game in the series actually has its own unique theme, and each one has a musical phrase or idea that's repeated often throughout the soundtrack. But there's even another layer to that. Ever since Wild World on the DS, the B section of whatever the main title screen song is has had what could be called the main Animal Crossing theme, and really you could identify it by just a few notes. Carrying on these themes and musical traditions helps keep a sense of cohesion, but it doesn't get stagnant either. Old songs are given fresh coats of paint so that way they sound nicer on better hardware, and different instruments are added and spotlighted to give each game its own flair, like steel drums in New Leaf and a solo trumpet in New Horizons. So now that we've looked at the complete sound palette of Animal Crossing, the instrument choice and songwriting, what is the musical identity of the Animal Crossing series? Well, the way I like to approach that question when I'm thinking about the music of the game or series is to try to boil it down into a few words or moods that capture what the game is really about. Relaxed is a no-brainer. This game is completely at your own pace and easygoing, and the music reflects that perfectly with its writing and instrument choice. I think another good one would be cozy, for the sense of familiarity created by reusing and updating older music, how it uses different themes and musical ideas, and how the music shifts to match the vibe of what's going on in the game world. The last one, I think, is bittersweet. Animal Crossing music is generally pretty fun and upbeat, but it would get to be too much if Animal Crossing wasn't okay with being a little bit melancholy sometimes. It isn't afraid to try and gently tug at your heartstrings or play you something more pensive or beautiful if that would fit the atmosphere better. That dash of wistfulness balances things out and keeps it from being too much. If you want a longer video on that, one of my favorite channels, 8-Bit Music Theory, has a fantastic video on it that you should definitely watch after you've already watched this one. So now we have the Animal Crossing feel. Somewhat funky and jazzy songs that are trying to feel relaxed, cozy, and a little bit bittersweet at the same time. It matches the game's atmosphere perfectly while you're chasing bugs and chatting up your neighbors and, yes, being chased by bees. But how does it actually play out in game, and how does it influence how you feel while you're playing Animal Crossing? Well, Animal Crossing music falls broadly into 3 different categories: KK music, shop and event music, and hourly music. KK music is probably the most iconic of the bunch. KK Slider is a traveling musician dog who plays a free acoustic set in your town every Saturday night. You can go and listen to him play renditions of his smash hit songs like Bubblegum KK and Go KK Rider. Afterwards, you get a studio version of the song, which has better production, I guess, kind of, and you can listen to it in your home. Now, everything that I've said about sound palettes and musical identities and stuff, just throw it out the window, because KK Slider does not care. He's done a scattershot of genres like metal and drum and bass, Celtic folk, polka, you name it, he's probably done it. Trying to find the common musical identity of KK's music and how it correlates to Animal Crossing's music is a whole can of worms that I don't have the time to get into in this video, so I'm just not going to mess with KK music a whole lot. In the second box of tunes, we've got hourly music. See, Animal Crossing is unique in that it runs in real time. If it's Saturday, June 22nd, 2024 at 1:35 p.m. in real life, it's the same time and day in the game as well. And to reflect that idea musically, each hour of the day has its own looping background music that plays while you're running around your town. And that music also reflects the time of day. The morning is pretty relaxed, and then things get a little more fun and energetic as you get towards the middle of the day. And then things chill out a little bit in the evening, and as you get further into the night, the music might even get a little melancholy sometimes. And after midnight, well, that's when things get a little crazy. And in later games, the hourly music is also dynamic based on the weather. If it's raining, the drum and bass tracks get removed to kind of chill things out a little bit. And if it's snowing, you get a glockenspiel and sleigh bells because, well, you can't have snow in a video game without sleigh bells. The last category is shop and event music. Not only do the Able Sisters and Museum have their own building themes like I mentioned earlier, but also special areas and events have their own music as well. And on top of that, the bespoke music for real-world holidays like Halloween and New Year's Eve set the tone perfectly. Now, the one thing that all 3 of these piles of music have in common is that they all serve Animal Crossing in a really unique and interesting way. See, at the end of the day, these games are all about player choice and having unique experiences and allowing the player to do what they want. And the music, even the KK music that I said I wouldn't touch, reflects that. In a 2001 interview in the now-defunct Nintendo Online Monthly, Animal Crossing series sound director Kazumi Totaka talked about he and his team's approach to the game's music. Talking specifically about he and his team's approach to the music that plays in your home in the original Animal Crossing, Totaka explained that the idea was that the rooms would be silent until the player decides to turn something on. And in an interview with Billboard shortly after the release of New Horizons, Totaka talks about his team's approach to the game's hourly music. He explained that we didn't want to tell the whole story with music. We strove to create music that allows the listener's own emotions and imagination to fill in the space between the in-game sounds. Animal Crossing's music is intentionally a blank canvas for us, the players, to assign our own emotions to. It isn't telling us how to feel necessarily, it's just creating a vibe and an atmosphere where we can find out how we're feeling and assign our own emotions to the music. It's a bit like a coloring book. The image is already there, that's been put together for you. But what's up to you is to color it in how you see fit based on how you're feeling. It's a perfect way to approach music for a game that is so freeform and based on player input. But despite that freeform approach to writing for emotion, the music still feels relaxed, cozy, and a little bit bittersweet. The way the music is written matches the relaxed pace of the game perfectly, from the song's tempos to the chord choices to even the instrument palette. And that instrument palette, while evolving from game to game, keeps things fun and breezy, which matches the cozy atmosphere that's created by the game's visuals. And the tinge of bittersweetness present in the music is the salt that balances out the sweet. It creates room for more complex emotions beyond just head empty when it wants to. Nailing this balance is a testament to the care and skill that Totaka and his team have put into the Animal Crossing series over time. And I'm super excited to see how the soundtrack of these games will evolve in the next entry in the series. Hopefully we don't have to wait too long to find out. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. I had a ton of fun diving into the music of Animal Crossing, and if you had fun too, be sure to like and subscribe so that way you can keep up with what I'm up to. And if there's a game or series that you would like to see me break down the music of, be sure to let me know what it is in the comments. It doesn't have to be a Nintendo game either. I do play other games, actually. Anyway, my name is Matthew.Wave, and I will see you next time.